Hi, I'm Tuğçe Koçoğlu-Hobden, also known as Tucci, and I'm founder of Heart and Purpose and host of Light Conversations. I specialize in guiding people through transformative experiences, both privately and in person, in workshops and retreats. I support people to connect with their hearts, to unlock their inner courage and remember their purpose. Today, I'm going to be talking about meditation and the variety of forms that we can use to come into meditation through breathwork, pranayama, mindfulness, mantra meditation, affirmations, and also journeying, which is a little different, but I also want to bring it into this conversation. There's similarities and also there are differences because there are some big differences between them. So grab yourself a cup of tea or a coffee and pop on your headphones and join me in this conversation. Hello, beautiful souls. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about meditation. Meditation, mindfulness, the differences also between mantra meditation and affirmations, as they often get confused, but they are different, and also journeying. So let's begin by talking about this umbrella term, meditation. It can often send people into a bit of a tizzy, thinking, oh, I can't meditate. We panic a little bit when we hear the word meditation, but meditation is not scary. And it really is that simple. Meditation is something we simply become when we enter the now present moment. It is just being present. And that could be through our breath. So whether we're making a cup of tea and as we wait for our cup of tea or the kettle to boil so we can make our cup of tea, or whether we're waiting for the tea to steep, we could just come into the present moment by coming into our heart space and taking some deep breaths, diaphragmatic breaths, which I like to call long and deep breathing, and just very intentional. So you're just grounding yourself in that moment. And it's very mindful. So this is a mindfulness practice. When you're walking in nature, listening to the sounds of the birds, the rustling of the leaves, the wind through your hair and brushing your face, the sun on your face, all these experiences are also bringing yourself to the present moment. It's mindfulness, which is itself a meditational practice. Meditational, is that even a word? I don't know, but I've said it. So mindfulness is a type of meditation. It is meditation. Meditation is like this umbrella term that we use. And meditation doesn't mean blocking out thoughts. It doesn't mean that at all. And I think this is what most people worry about, and they fear that they can't block out their thoughts. And what I'd like to offer here is invite you to think about here or reflect upon is that this is a practice. It isn't something that we just do and suddenly become great meditators. It's like riding a bike. We need to learn the process for it, or it's like weight training. We build muscle, and when we are practicing any type of meditation, we are building and strengthening our muscle of awareness. And that's what we are practicing in meditation. It isn't somewhere we go. It's not a destination. It's not, yay, I've got to the end of the top of the mountain. Whoa! It's the journey, and it's a continuous journey. And we aren't trying to get to the top of the mountain. We are trying to become the mountain. If you look at it in that respect, and what I love what the yogis, the ancient yogis say. If we wander through life without bringing in awareness to our lives, intention, we become the football or soccer ball, depending on where you're from. And we get kicked around from, here, there, and everywhere. And it's very reactionary. However, when we start to build our spiritual muscle of awareness and strengthen it, we stop being the football and we start to become the player on the pitch who knows to pass the ball to, and knows that there is a string of passes to get to scoring a goal. So that's the next step. But then there's an extra step, the step where you're no longer the player because you are again continuing to practice and build your muscle of awareness. You become the entire pitch. So instead of the player, you are now the pitch. So you can see every aspect, every player, every obstacle in the way because you are omnipresent. And that's the level of awareness that meditation helps us with. If you imagine a snow globe, the ones that you shake around and then the snow starts going around. If we're living life in a reactive way, without purpose or intention, we are literally living in that snow globe. It's like life is suction cupped onto our face. It's so close. We can't, we can't see it from a higher perspective. So we want to be almost like looking out onto the snow globe like we do when you pick it up on the shelf and you go, oh, there's my snow globe, and you're looking at it from a higher perspective. That is the consequence or the result of practicing meditation in whichever form you wish to practice, whether it's mindful walking, moments of your day, however you choose, whether it's sitting in meditation, if you would rather do that. That is another form. And again, not blocking out thoughts. It's imagining, and I think it was the guy, Andy, or I can't remember the surname, who created Headspace. He had this lovely analogy of, it's like the cars across the street, meditation, the cars will always be going past and you're not going to run across the road into the cars. You're going to look at the cars going past you. Just going to allow those thoughts to just move across. He had the other metaphor of the clouds in the sky. We know that there's always a blue sky, but when we're experiencing these maybe dark, angrier thoughts or negative thoughts, and it's like they're the clouds. But we know beyond the clouds, the blue sky is always there. And we just allow the clouds to go past without attachments. We don't cling on to them. We just observe them. We witness them. And then we've got affirmations and mantra meditation. And I hear the two often used like they're the same thing. Now, positive affirmations are much more modern. They are part of, I guess, this part of the self-development movement, and also used a lot in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. And what they help with, and and affirmations are brilliant. They are super helpful, but it's really working on the more cognitive, the mind, helping to interrupt negative thought patterns. A lot of us have these loops, these looping thoughts, and I think affirmations can be so helpful when we're having these negative loops, negative thought patterns. So they can really help to interrupt those patterns and those limiting beliefs. It also helps to influence our subconscious mind and helps to rewire our neurological pathways. Affirmations can create new neurological pathways in the brain. New neurological pathways. So, if we've got one pathway, which we always use, the M25, I like to call it in my brain, the M25, that's the pathway I always go down. It's maybe a pathway that is a little bit more negative, but that's what I'm used to. So in order to interrupt that, we are wanting to create an M26. So in order to do that, we start saying and repeating to ourselves positive affirmations. And that's repeated. And the best way of doing that is also by feeling it, feeling the emotions behind it. I am abundant. What does that feel like in the body? I am worthy. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of wealth. So these are some examples of positive affirmations. And then we've got mantras. Mantras are meditations that come from the ancient Hindu or Buddhist traditions that have a far more spiritual and energetic significance to them. And they are sacred sounds or syllables or phrases that we chant, sing, whisper, or repeat silently. And the word mantra comes from the Sanskrit word. Man means mind, and tra means tool or instrument. So it's a tool of the mind. And it really helps us to allow or access deeper states of awareness and a connection to the divine. Now, mantras not only work with words, and I'm going to come on to that in a moment, but mantra meditations work on the 3 chambers of our body. So it works on the physical body as well as the metaphysical body. So mantras can be working on the chakras, the energetic discs around the glands and organs of our body. We have 7 chakras, and I've got a separate video on chakras if you wish to dive deeper into the 7 or 8 chakras of the body. There are more, but I talk about the 8. Mantra meditation helps to activate these 3 chambers, and the 3 chambers are the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. These are our 3 neurological centers. So that's what one part of working on mantras does. And it also helps with our monkey mind. The ancient yogis call the over chatty mind the monkey mind. So when we use mantra, it can really help focus the mind and override the chatty mind. The chatty mind will still be there in the background going, whatever it's going on about. But the mantra will help us to focus. Mantra is an incredible tool. It's a connecting tool of sound. Now, we know that we have, as individuals, as human beings, our fingerprints are unique to us, right? We know that we have unique fingerprints. And some of us may be aware that our DNA is also unique to us. And our iris is unique to us. But did you know that our voice and the frequency of our voice is also unique to us? And it's incredibly healing for us as well. So not only are we activating and awakening different parts of our neurological centers and stimulating glands and organs which produce hormones, lipid and peptides in our body, which in turn have an effect on our thoughts and our feelings, not the other way around. Sound is so powerful. Using our own voice can really support that strengthening of that spiritual muscle of awareness. And we are the only beings or animals that can form full consonants. They are letters directing sounds that the vowels make. So the consonants have no sound of their own, only vowels do. The consonants direct the sounds. Mantras help us to create vibrational shifts. They hold vibrational frequencies. And that can in turn help shift our internal states. Now, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into sound because I find this topic absolutely fascinating. And we're going to go back in time to the ancient Greeks. Pythagoras. We all know the mathematician and musician and philosopher named Pythagoras. Now, he identified the 12-tone scale, right? And he, at the time, this is 5th century BC, he postulated that music could literally heal the body, mind, and emotions, and that the most healing of all musical intervals was the harmonic fifth. And this harmonic interval, he discovered, is so deeply nurturing that its resonance creates a conscious connection between the physical body and the soul. Fast forward 100 years or so later, Plato, the great Greek philosopher, taught his students that the universe was created and built on sound. He called it the music of spheres, and this has been known since ancient times to link the nature of this universe to the unheard vibrations. If you think of it, go back to the Bible. And, not just the Bible, but also Western and Eastern religions speak of the story of creation. In the beginning was the Word, right? We've all heard that. Astrophysics says that sound, that word, was the Big Bang that created the universe. So that very word, universe, one means one sound. One, verse, sound. And then fast forward into the 20th century when Albert Einstein spoke about time and space being identical, and the perception or the perceived differences are just different vibrations, and vibrations is sound. So, we know that with research today, quantum physicists have established what they call the string theory. At the very core of the atom, deep within the electrons, protons and neutrons, many levels below the visible surface, everything is just a vibration, just a sound. And if we think about it, human beings, we match Mother Earth's frequency. We discovered back in the, I want to say the 1960s or 70s. Hold on, let me backtrack. So we know that Mother Earth, planet Earth, like all celestial bodies, she vibrates in a particular timing and rhythm. And the German scientist W.O. Schumann identified that that identified a dominant frequency in our Earth's atmosphere in the 20th century, known as the Schumann resonance, and vibrates at the rate of 7.83 hertz. cycles per second. It's a very low and inaudible C sharp tone, 19 degrees above C sharp. In the Western world, this is known, the true middle tone of music is known as middle C. We didn't realize the significance of the Schumann resonance until we sent astronauts into space, and they were coming back disorientated, confused, nauseated, and unable to focus. Well, not like they'd come back, they were out there experiencing all this. And after much research and experiments, Russian and American scientists discovered it was due to the absence of the Schumann resonance in outer space. So the human body actually requires these sound waves, in order to maintain balance and maintain health and focus when in space. So after this discovery, every spacecraft and I believe astronaut suits were fitted with the Schumann tone generator to solve this problem. So they were fitted with this frequency, so that actually then they no longer experience those horrible, feelings of disorientation and nausea and confusion. So what's really beautiful about this is also that the human DNA is also inaudible G sharp tone, which is the harmonic fifth of C sharp. So we are literally vibrating at the harmonic fifth of the planet's Earth. Isn't that incredible? The most perfect and healing harmony, exactly as Pythagoras claimed over 2,500 years ago. And this natural harmony needs to be maintained for optimal health. I've gone on a little bit of a tangent there with sound, but I really just wanted to share with you the depth of sound and mantra to us as humans and planet Earth, Mother Earth, and all celestial bodies, other planets and the stars. Everything is a vibration. Everything is sound. When we begin to use our voice in a powerful way, it can be incredibly healing for our bodies. Our own voice is the most healing for our bodies, which is why I invite, whenever I share mantras in my workshops or my retreats, I invite people to chant. It feels funny at first and it can be very uncomfortable. I absolutely hated chanting. I was not familiar with hearing my voice, and it's such a good practice. Our throat chakra doesn't just relate to our throat and our voice, but also to our ears. So listening, deeply listening, in Sanskrit is called shunya. Deep listening to the sounds, to the vibrations, is a really important factor and part of the throat chakra. So training ourselves to listen to our voice, to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. It sounds really, when you first start hearing your voice, we feel quite icked out by it, I think. Well, I certainly did. It might freak you out, but that's because this is part of this growth and learning curve and learning evolution journey that we are on. And what else did I want to say in this, going back to the mantras and our voice? It helps us to begin to find our voice as well, I believe. And I think particularly for women, also men, we've lived in a patriarchy for over 2,000 years. And I don't believe if there's any coincidence that the suppression of our voice, the feminine voice in particular, why our voices sound a little bit more questioning and doubting, because our thyroid and parathyroid gland, when we speak and when we listen, it is what metabolizes calciums and magnesiums, the hard substances which builds bones. So having a strong voice and a strong vocal attitude can really help build also a strong skeleton. No doubt that these two are linked and that women suffer more from osteoporosis than men because of this suppression of the voice, because we are not metabolizing calcium and magnesium through using our voice. And just to wrap this up, to say that sound is so healing to our bodies. Edgar Cayce, also known as the sleeping prophet, said back in the 1920s that sound would be the medicine of the future. Isn't that incredible? And knowing now that there are so many vibrational therapies around, and sound therapy and sound healing, I just think that's an incredible prophecy that he made back in the 1920s. I've said more than I probably was going to share, but I felt really guided to share that information because I think it's really important to understand the difference of mantra and why in so many Eastern practices, mantras are so important. And it's not even the meaning of the words. It is the sound, the inflection, and the vibration, the pulsations, the rhythms that are really supported. And the other thing I hadn't mentioned is when we are using a lot of these mantras I'm going to speak from Kundalini Yoga experience because that's my area of expertise. But Kundalini yogic mantras also stimulate, as I mentioned, the 3 chambers, but the glands and organs of the body. You might be squeezing the pelvic floor muscles up and in. You might be squeezing the navel point and bringing your awareness to your heart space and your throat and your third eye. Maybe the focus or the drishti is at the third eye space. There's a lot of stimulation and activation going on, which in turn works on the blood chemistry of the body as well. So it's having this, not only this metaphysical on the subtle bodies, on your auric field, your emotional body, your mental body, but also the physical body. And there are lots of mantras you can use. I'll give you the example of a straightforward one that we use a lot in Kundalini Yoga, Sat Nam, which means truth is my identity. And that is one that you can use during a Kundalini Yoga sequence of movements called a Kriya. And there's also Om, the universal mantra, represents the Om as the essence of all creation. There are so many. If you want to explore that a little bit more deeper, I have a Kundalini Yoga video on my YouTube channel, which shares a little bit more about Kundalini Yoga. And I believe I have a mantra on there. If not, send me a message and I will share with you. And then the final part I wanted to share was journeying. Journeying is really not a passive form. Journeying is really about using actively the imagination. And it comes from the shamanic traditions, traditionally used with a drum. You would use an eye mask as well, a specific eye mask to block the light so that you can go into a trance state. And journeying can be spoken out loud as well when you're entering a journey. I find it really supportive to speak it out loud. And again, I'm using my throat chakra. By using my throat chakra, I'm working the parathyroid and thyroid glands to create that strong skeleton. I'm able to then get into a trance like state using my shamanic drum and sharing my imaginative journey, depending on which world is the lower, the middle, the upper world. And that is a much more active, I would still call it under the umbrella of meditation, because it still helps us strengthen our muscle of awareness and experience altered states, and also to deepen our connection to the spiritual realms and to the divine, which can be different to other and alternate types of meditation, which doesn't need to include that spiritual connection. Just to summarize, today we talked about meditation as an umbrella for being present in the present now moment. And meditation can be many things to many of us. Meditation can be, I talked about at the beginning, mindfulness practice. So you could be moving, again, similar to journeying in that respect. You're moving, you're active. It's an active practice. You could be doing it in nature, when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, bringing in mindfulness into pockets of your day. Then you have seated meditation, which can just be silence, allowing the thoughts to pass by, just noticing and observing thoughts. You can bring in affirmations that will help to create new neurological pathways and reshape the subconscious mind. And again, quite an active process in that. Then there's mantra meditation. And I've given examples in terms of how they are so different and why they are different. And they have different benefits and why we would use them in different ways. When we would use them, you might want to use affirmations in the morning upon waking, when the mind is still in its theta phase. And you can pepper these throughout your days. You might want to do a mantra meditation one day. You might want to do silent meditation another day. Just playing around and seeing what works for you. Maybe you want to save your journeys for the weekend and start building your imagination and strengthening your third eye and delving deep into your subconscious. As Einstein said, our imagination is what creates our reality. Back in whenever Leonardo da Vinci was born, he was using his imagination and drawing helicopters and airplanes. They didn't exist at his time and only made manifest hundreds of years later. Imagination is crucial as human beings for our evolution. If you have any questions on this audio video, that doesn't really make sense, but this audio, please comment and let me know. If you have any questions, I will get back to you. And if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It really helps people to find my YouTube channel. And yeah, thank you so much.